Well, good evening, good evening, good afternoon. Here we are on World Creativity Day, high above the Romney Valley, looking down there into the valley at White Rose Primary School. A very, very, very lucky community and a very, very lucky country. Wales, South Wales, part of the United Kingdom, with Northern Ireland, with England, with Scotland. Part of this great nation that is reinventing itself, reconnecting itself with creativity. And as I say, Wales is so lucky that they've got this new curriculum that is going to set their kids up for success, because that curriculum is built on creativity. So what better place to come today, here above the Romney Valley, looking out over Wales, over the valleys of South Wales, once known for their coal mining, for their industry, and now reinventing themselves with their new curriculum, as I say, grounded in creativity, the power of people, art and tools or technology. And we take for granted being able to just flip around now with this 3D view of the Romney Valley in Google Earth, Google Maps, Google Satellite, because Google's art is creativity, it's tools, it's technology, it's people, it's connecting people, and that's the country, those are the skills that our country needs, that our communities need, and that our children need. So welcome today to this live stream from White Rose Primary School here in South Wales. I'd like to kick the presentation off with a short film from the United Nations World Creativity and Innovation Day, here for you in South Wales. STEAMCO, just a bunch of parents, artists, teachers, business people collaborating for creativity. And here I'm very proud to be presenting to you today from this cardboard cathedral, which we've built here today in a school playing field in Coventry, but also in school communities all across the country. For today, we are going to send you a photo, a picture, maybe some video of this cathedral built on top of the mountain that we just saw there, high above the Romney Valley, above that community school there, down in South Wales, that community school where the children, where the parents, where the teachers, where the whole community is working so hard to help their children have their best. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful view. I grew up in the Welsh Marches in a little town called Ludlow. My mum, my dad went to Cardiff when they first got married. My godparents, Uncle Arthur, bless him, he's passed now, Auntie Pam, Leslie Bryan of South Wales. And I wonder what they'd make of this, me here now, if they saw me, that little boy who grew up to be a dad, to be whatever I am, inspiring you and your children to hopefully help you aim as high as you possibly can. Here I am looking down over the Romney Valley, and here I am back on that cardboard cathedral, because if you look very, very closely, if you look very carefully, you should see me down there. Can we zoom in? Can we just zoom in on that? Have we got the technology to do that? Can we zoom in? Oh, here we go. Look, we're zooming in now. That's fantastic. So we're now zooming in and you should now be able to see me because I am here on this cardboard stage, and we're going to build this over your school tonight, and we're going to be able to show you, so your children can look back to this day, to the day when a kind of crazy-ish sort of guy came over the internet, if you like, to talk to them about their creativity and what they might be able to do with their art and the creative tools and skills that the schools and the whole community is going to be giving them. My name's Nick. I run a non-profit called STEAMco, which is, as I say, a group of parents, teachers, local businesses, artists, engineers, anybody who is what we call a hashtag creative carer. People who care about creativity, who care about children, and who care about all our futures. And that's never been more important than now, and the significance of Coventry Cathedral will hopefully become very clear to you as we go through this. This is part of what we're calling our Inspired to Learn 21 summer term of live and live streamed events. This week we're live streaming events, as I am today. And then over the next few weeks and months, we're going to be going on the road. We're looking for some support, some sponsorship, or schools who can help us to go and visit them. We're going to leave Cornwall and we're going to drive all the way through England to Scotland. We're going to get the ferry from Stranraer over to Northern Ireland. We're going to go to some schools in Northern Ireland. We'll get the ferry to Holyhead. We'll come back to Wales and back down south through Wales and then back into the UK, back into England, and that will hopefully have left a mark of inspiration, of aspiration, of hope, of possibility, because that's what we're talking about today, and that's very much what this presentation is all about. As I say, I'm just a dad. I'm just a dad who a year ago got himself a green screen. Check this out.
It's a fantastic day launching our Inspired to Learn 21 UK tour, to help everybody have a school as amazing as Prince of Wales School. Big round of applause for everybody at Prince of Wales School. My goodness, what an amazing school. Mr. Spracklin let me borrow the name Inspired to Learn, and I'm going to take it to every school in this country that will have me. Lockdown's been hard. A year ago I lost all my work, no work at all, and I got myself a green screen. And now I've got two, and I can't find my little ones. Let me see my green screen. Behind me. Behind me. Where is it? It's not behind me. I can't see it anywhere. I can't see my green screen anywhere.
So that's what we got up to the other day in Prince of Wales School. So there's obviously a lovely little serendipitous link there. Prince of Wales School, between a school in Dorset, Dorchester, led by a brave school leader, Mr. Spracklin, Gary Spracklin, who runs that school on the concept of being inspired to learn, getting the kids excited and engaged and inspired so they want to learn. Because we're competing with the PlayStations and the Xboxes, we're competing with the internet, we're competing with YouTube, we're competing with people trying to get our kids' attention, and we want them to learn, we want them to make. We don't just want them to be worrying about working and being part of this big industrial machine. We want to give them a life worth living. We want them to help them live the best lives, and that's what I want this talk to be about, and I hope you'll take that from this. It's not all about the money, as they say. And that little video there we did the other day was me with a green screen literally strapped to my back, because if you're under any illusion as to the sort of technology I've got going on here, I am literally standing here, right now, quite simply in front of a green screen, a green bit of fabric. There's nothing other than me and this bit of curtain here, and you and a couple of computers. But let's not bother about the technology. Let's let the technology hopefully look after itself. Let's get back to the talk that I want to do. In just about 15 minutes, I just want to talk to you and share with you the messages that we took to your school today. Because we talked to those children about some things that they can do to hopefully make a little bit of money, maybe a lot of money, a little bit of money. Hopefully they can make some friends like these two lads did on a STEAMco day in a school community a little while ago, a couple of years ago actually. And we hope that maybe they can make the world a better place using their skills. So making some money, making the friends, and making the world a better place by being engineers, by being innovators, by being the scientists that really are going to solve the world's problems as we come out of lockdown and as we come out of the coronavirus and we start to rebuild this world. We're going to need our kids' skills now more than ever. I'm just a dad, and this is me in the paper with my two boys, Sam and Jesse, and it's all about family, it's all about brothers and sisters, and we're trying to connect schools across the UK with schools in Coventry for reasons that you'll see in just a few minutes. That school is Joseph Cash Primary School, which is a wonderful school just there in Coventry. And a few months ago, well, in fact, there we are. There's the map showing where we are and where they are and where we are today in South Wales. And I don't know how well you know Coventry, but Coventry had a couple of cathedrals, a couple of churches. Here's the most recent, well, not the most recent, but the basis of the most recent one. And it was a beautiful cathedral. Inside, everybody had to sit still and sit quiet and face the front, even though there was beautiful stained glass around them and the wonders of the world, but everybody had to sit still and do as they were told. And in the war, that cathedral was bombed to the ground almost. It was almost completely ruined. And the morning after that, the provost, the vicar of Coventry Cathedral, vowed to rebuild that cathedral, not as an act of defiance against those who destroyed it and the horribleness of that period, but as a symbol of hope, as a symbol of aspiration, as a symbol of coming together, a symbol of reconciliation. And they built the most beautiful cathedral alongside the old one. So to the right here, you see the new modern cathedral with a beautiful interior where people don't have to sit in rows, where they can sit in circles, they can chat, they can engage, they can marvel at the architecture, the design. And a few weeks later, we had a report from Google. Their satellite had picked up on mysterious occurrences in the playing fields there at Joseph Cash Primary in Coventry. And a few days later, it worked out to be a cardboard Coventry Cathedral. They had literally built a Coventry Cathedral overnight in the school playground that we are live streaming from today, and it hasn't gone into the recycling. You'll be glad to know it's still very, 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 very here, and that is exactly where we are today. We are live streaming from Joseph Cash Primary, thanks to this wonderful, brave school leader, Helen Nelson, here with her daughter in their I Love Art t-shirts. I am on that cardboard pyramid stage, and if you believe that, you'll believe anything. But hey, let's use our imagination. Let's encourage our kids to use their imagination and aim not just this high, but not that high, but higher than high with their skills, with their creativity, the skills they were born with. Joseph Cash Primary is a wonderful school because they've got libraries like other schools. Reading is such an important skill. They've got inspirational artworks. Sophie Loren there. Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible. One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world. Beautiful aspirational messages here. J.K. Rowling. It matters not what somebody is born, but what they grow to be. Powerful messages here. My favourite, Albert Einstein. A person who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. And that's what we've got to encourage our kids. We've got to encourage our children not to be afraid to try, not be afraid to fail, because they've got to have the confidence that we are there to catch them. We are there to inspire them, that we are there to support them in their journey as they go forward in life. Joseph Cash Primary has got a lovely idea. They've had this 50 things to do at Cash and things you have to do before you leave, like show a teacher how to use an app on the iPad. Teacher, goodness me. Go shopping for your ingredients to do some cooking. Go to a museum or historical location. Write a story, perform on the stage, go camping. Simple little things that we all take for granted, I'm very, very sure. I didn't show the children this film today, but I'm going to show you now because it's a film that is very, very special for me and Wales particularly, as I'll say in just a moment. It features somebody I'm sure you know very, very well. Somebody who plays the piano. Somebody who is a fantastic piano player, is actually a very famous piano player. Elton John, Sir Elton John. I give you Sir Elton John, White Rose Primary. A man who loves to play the piano. And we first saw this song the day before a trip to Cardiff. I don't think it's funny. Well, it is a lovely feeling. A lot of people want to be famous. A lot of children want to be famous, but they don't realise it can actually be very sad and very lonely being famous. It's not all it's cracked up to be. Don't have much money, I think you do. I think you've made a few quid. Look how many people went to see him play in this concert. Absolutely wonderful. And here he is playing the piano on an aeroplane with a band called Led Zeppelin. I don't know if anybody remembers them. Led Zeppelin, fantastic. And here he is playing the piano on Top of the Pops, if anybody remembers that. These are all old-fashioned things, aren't they now? And he's been very, very generous. And he's giving it to all of you. So enjoy it. Like this little boy here playing the piano at a party. Dancing, singing, being happy. And here he is at the school concert. Whoa. Do you think his mum's proud of him, working hard like that, playing the piano? And here he is on Christmas Day. I wonder what he's going to get for Christmas when he was a little boy. He was a little boy. What do you think he's going to get for Christmas?
While you're in the world.
A lovely, lovely film there, a John Lewis ad from a couple of years ago. Believe it or not, I saw that film. I saw that film 2 years ago and I made a copy of it, put some subtitles on it about the importance of creativity and music and what I felt that film was about. And I took it to school communities all over the country, starting with Cardiff. I actually made a film in Cardiff City Hall, believe it or not. And Elton John retweeted it and I did a 2-week tour. And I love showing that film to children because I love asking them what they think that film was all about. And I asked them for one word, and you might play that now. In fact, let's stop for 10 seconds. 10 seconds, what was that film about? Ask the person beside you in the room, one word, what do you think? 5, 3, 2, 1. I get lovely answers to this. Music, working hard, Christmas, pianos, boys, aspiration, imagination, aeroplanes. But for me, that film is about really something very, very simple. A very, very simple, very small word. For me, that film is about art. Art. Art, for me, is what we call it when what we do might connect us to somebody else. So somebody's art could be like Grayson Perry, dressing up like a lady, throwing cakes at people, if that's what connects, if that makes a message. And if you've seen the Grayson Perry show, or if you've been lucky enough to get a copy of this fantastic, fantastic book, I commend this to you. This is the book of the Grayson Perry Art Club show, and it's got a lot of green on it, which isn't very good for films like this, as I'm sure you've worked out. But Grayson Perry, absolute inspiration, really, really very, very inspiring person. But it's not just about painting and pottery as Grayson Perry. Your art could be painting, it could be photography, it could be cooking, it could be coding, dancing, design, it could be DJing, it could be fashion like Victoria Beckham, football like David Beckham. It could be the bake-off cooking like this. A lot of people love the big bake-off. Would you agree that those people connect with you because of their food, because of their passion? It could be coding and creating computer games, not just making them, but learning to code them. And there are lots of companies in South Wales, I've met some down there in Bridgend who are coding and creating computer games with the support of the Welsh Government. Your art could be rockets. And as you see later on today, my art is rockets because that's connecting me with lots and lots of school communities and families and children across the country. Could be like Stephenson's rocket here. This is my favourite rocket. This is the steam engine rocket created by George Stephenson. A boy who worked in a coal mine when he was 5 years old. 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts, sitting in the dark, opening and closing a door because he was too poor to go to school. He couldn't read, but he saved his money and learnt to read and ended up literally inventing the first passenger carrying steam train, the Stephenson's rocket, and changed the world. A coal miner's son who worked hard, who saved his money, who had dreams, who had hope, who learnt to read and aimed as high as he possibly could fly. Robots are another fantastic thing. A lot of people have robots as their art. I've got a little robot here which I showed the children today. Maybe one day, in fact, I'm going to see if I can get one of these as a prize for a competition on our tour this summer. But this is JD the robot, and he can walk and he can talk and he can dance and he can sing and he can do all sorts of super, super cool things. And JD is an AI robot, so he can literally look at you with his little camera at the top there and work out how old you are and other things, I mean, even where you live actually, because he can use image recognition. So it's just simple robot technology. This is one of my favourite robots. Now, as I think I said to you, my Uncle Arthur used to be an engineer down in South Wales, and he would love this robot because he'd be looking at this and saying, what does that do? How does it work? Well, I'll tell you what this robot does. This robot can solve a Rubik's Cube, just like this. So there you go, a Rubik's Cube robot that can solve a Rubik's Cube in 2 minutes 30 seconds. A lot of people think this robot's clever. I don't think it's clever. Well, I think it's clever because all this can do is one thing. It can't swim, it can't put jam on bread, it can't do its times tables. All this robot can do is one thing. And it just learned how to do one thing and looks up the answers and can do it. That's not very clever. What's clever is the man or the woman who did the coding to make this robot work. And this is the man who did that. This man's name is David. And this is his latest robot, one of his later ones, that can solve a Rubik's Cube. Watch how quickly. Wow, look at that.
3.253 seconds.
3.253 seconds, absolutely fantastic. Now that is clever. And he works for a company that develops all the chips in smartphones and tablets. Think that was cool. Look at this robot. This is a robot inside a Rubik's Cube. And this was created by an incredibly clever man. This man here is not, I don't think much of his fashion sense, but he's a very, very clever inventor because he makes things, because he's curious, because he's imaginative. My Uncle Arthur would have looked at this and thought, how does that work? What's this thing? What are these things with the orange circles on? What are those cogwheels doing? Oh, I wonder if we can make it different or better. We've got to be curious, and we've got to encourage our children to be curious as well. This is David Gilday, who invented that robot, and he does workshops for us. He's made some lovely videos of all his super cool robots. And if you want to check those out, we can give you the links to that as well, because we're going to start a thing called the Rocket Kids Club. A Rocket Kids Club inspired by amazing artists like Sir Elton John, like David Gilday, like George Stevenson, like Helen Sharman, all these amazing famous creative people. We're going to build this Rocket Kids Club where children can go online in a safe place, a creative place, and be inspired to create and share their ideas with famous and not so famous people like me and you all over the country and all over the world, just inspiring and encouraging them. And if you want my advice, the greatest gift you can give a child, whether you're a child who wants a great present or a parent who wants to give to their child, there are three things you should give your children. The first one is some of your time, and we call those the three greatest gifts. The first one is some of your time. The best thing you can do for your children to live the best life and have the best chance of employment is to spend 10 minutes a day with them reading. To sit and read lovely, lovely books like these two. Books like this one, Look Up, which is a lovely book about a little boy who doesn't just sit there looking at his phone all the time. He looks up in the sky and is inspired. This book here, Armstrong, a beautiful book about a little mouse that goes to the moon. And he tries making a rocket from a roller skate and a tin can. It's the most beautiful, beautiful book you could ever wish to see. And there are lots and lots of lovely books that we should be sharing with our children. And these are all about spending a little bit of time together with our children, telling them stories, reading stories, creating stories, helping them have stories to tell in the future, to give them their art, to help them find that one thing that's going to help them make some money, make some friends, or make the world a better place. Their art, their passion, their element, something they love doing as a hobby or as a career or whatever. We've got to help our kids find their art. My dad, I owe my dad so much, so proud of my mum and my dad and my Uncle Arthur and people like that. And here I am with my dad and my first ever train set when I was 1. And this is a video of that moment. Whoops, where is it? There we go. My dad showed me when I was 1 how to make a bridge for my train set. Not with bricks, not with Lego, not with wood, but with my arm, using my imagination. My dad gave me some of his time. He's given me stories to tell you today. He gave me my art because I became an engineer at university. But not everybody has to go to university. Get an apprenticeship, be a builder, be a steel worker, be an engineer, a car worker, a care worker, whatever you need to do. That's your passion, that's your art. Try and find something you love doing. These boys and girls at Joseph Cash Primary, they love art. Look, they've got their I Love Art logos that we've designed and developed for them. And they're very, very lucky because this year, Coventry, the city they live in, is going to be world or UK City of Culture. Absolutely fantastic for that city. They've had tens of millions of pounds given to them by the Department of Culture, Digital Culture, Media and Sport, and they're going to have a festival of creativity for that city and people around it. And what we're trying to do is connect them with communities around using projects like this. Coventry 2021, it should have kicked off in January, but it's actually kicking off in May. And what we're doing for these few weeks, without formal collaboration, but with their support, and they've been very, very generous, is we're travelling around the country, trying to find schools all over the country who want to be twinned with schools in Coventry. And that's an opportunity. If you're interested, we could arrange that and connect you with some schools there. Well, that's what makes Coventry great. But what makes Britain great? Well, what makes Britain great, if you ask me, is our art. Our use of creativity, tools or technology and people. The way that our creativity and our tools and our people have come together for many years to show that Britain, that creativity is Great Britain. And next year the government, the UK government, are investing massively in a national festival of creativity called Festival UK 2022. And what we're doing at Steamco, we're nothing to do with that formally, but we were trying to do some fundraising to get 22 people like me on the road next year with little trailers to go all over the country doing events and pop-ups in schools, in communities, in community centres to inspire the whole of this country to be creative. And if you're able to help us, we've got a Patreon project where you can just pay £1 a week to support that. Or if you can pay a bit more, you could pay for us to go into schools. Or if you've got a company or you know somebody who's got a little bit of money who could pay for one of those trucks, and we need to hear from you, because next year we want 22 of those trucks. But this year we want to get 3 on the road. So in the summer holidays and for the last half of this year, we want 3 people like me, heaven forbid, buzzing around the country, inspiring communities, to see if it will work before we go and get 22 of them on the road. So if any of you'd like to be part of that, do please let me know, because this is my life. My life is now buzzing around the world, inspiring communities to inspire their children with creativity, telling the stories I'm telling you today and stories that I make up as I go along, telling them the story of me and my dad, how my dad gave me my art. A year ago, coronavirus hit, and I lost all my income, no work at all, as you heard earlier. And we had an idea. We thought Glastonbury and festivals like that, why don't we have our own festival? Why don't we build our own pyramid stage in a school playground? And that's literally what we did. We went to a school near Glastonbury in Somerset last year, and with the support of Arts Council funding and the Department of Digital Culture, Media and Sport and a creative charitable trust called LGFL, we built a cardboard pyramid stage in a school playground. And we had a community arts festival that weekend, 3-day festival where the children could play. We had a pirate's flag on the top, and everything you see here is computer graphics overlaid on real video. So it's a combination of the two, and I hope you'll agree it looks fairly realistic. And children and performers and parents and singers and dancers and artists did talks and performances on that stage, and it really was absolutely fantastic weekend. And we've done it all through the year ever since. We went to Leeds, and in Leeds with a head teacher there called Chris Dyson at Parklands Primary, on a really socially deprived estate in Leeds, the Seacroft estate, we literally built this Mars Base Camp 1, inspired by Tracy Island from Thunderbirds, and if you're old enough to remember that, and it's got a rocket at the front and a little launch pad, and that was built for us by this chap here, Will Alexander, and he ran a little workshop for us to show us how to do it. And we've got all these videos on our website, and we're going to be sharing these with the Rocket Kids Club, because we want to build cardboard models all year, because cardboard is the gateway drug to making, as somebody said to me once. So here he is showing how to make the rocket. And what I did, I took a photograph of that model, and here I am at Yorkshire Sculpture Park, funnily enough, where we actually did this, and we put it against a wall with some green material on it. We took a photograph. We took the background out with special software and then stuck it on a picture of the playground at Parklands Primary, and then did this.
Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. We have a liftoff, 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
And everything you see there was video from a drone with computer graphics done with Blender, which is free software that many of your children are probably using or trying to use. And this is just the technology that's available to us now. So we've been doing assemblies and sessions all around the country this last year asking, what's your art? And that's the question we want you to ask your children. We want you to support them by helping them find their art. Today on World Creativity and Innovation Week, and I'm proud to be the UK country champion for this. What's your art? Is it cooking, coding, robots, rockets, dancing, DJing, design, fashion, football, whatever? Is it going to help you make some money? It might do, it might not. A little bit, a lot, whatever. It might help you make some friends like these two boys. And it might help you make the world a better place as we respond to the environmental challenges of our future and the responding to this virus that's decimated our societies and decimated our communities and decimated our economy. We have to rise above it like Coventry Cathedral rose from the ashes after the last war. So that is what we're talking about today when we say we need to ensure that our children are inspired to learn. Our UK tour is going to be hitting the road in May. We're going to be travelling for probably about 2 months. So if you'd like us to visit you, if you'd like us to bring this assembly to your school, to your community, then do let us know. We're going to have creative activities. For example, join our I Love Art. Oh, I don't know which button I pressed to make that flip. Blimey, that's a new one. Flip me out a little bit then. The I Love Art campaign, a campaign we've done in the art of design with a fantastic French street artist called JR. And basically you can download a template and you can design an I Love Art logo and then print it on a big poster like this to share, to print up, and you can get these printed fairly cheaply, or you can just print them on lots of A4 sheets and stick them all together. So we want to cover the country. We already have 1,000 of these done. This is a little girl from a school in Bradford, but we'd love to do murals. We'd love to do more of these to celebrate our art, to celebrate our creativity. So that's one of the activities we can come and do with you, and then print the selfies out and print t-shirts even. I love it. I love art so much, of course, as you can see that let's see if I can zoom in on my t-shirt there. There we go. I love art so much. I bought the t-shirt, so I printed the t-shirt anyway. The other thing we can do is an inventing activity. There's some fantastic inventor, Dominic Wilcox. My Uncle Arthur would have loved to meet him because he's invented some crazy, amazing gadgets. And that's one of the creative activities that we're able to offer. We're also teaching children not just to play computer games, but to do coding. The Art of Coding session using a thing called the BBC microbit, and that is a picture of a BBC microbit up there on the screen. In fact, I can show you one here now. That is a BBC microbit. As you can see there, the little microbit there, a little bit of circuit board with a little screen on the front, the buttons and the battery. They're £15 each. For £15 you can give your child a computer. They can code with a tablet or a smartphone or a laptop. And we're going to be travelling the country showing communities how to inspire their kids with creativity and how to teach them to code devices like the BBC microbit. But my most favourite one, my favourite activity of all of them, to be quite honest, and I'm sure most of the dads particularly and a lot of the mums will agree, is an activity, The Art of Rockets, inspired by the book that you see on the side of the screen there. A book called Rocket Boys by a man called Homer Hickam. This is a book my dad, my 86-year-old dad, found in an Oxfam bookshop he volunteers in Ludlow in Shropshire. A book about 4 boys in the coal mine villages of West Virginia in the 1950s. 4 boys who didn't want to be coal miners, who looked up to the sky and were inspired by the satellite, the Sputnik satellite, and they learnt to make rockets and ended up working for NASA with the encouragement of their mum, their dad, their community, their teachers. Those boys aimed not just high, but higher than high. And when I come If I come to your school on our Inspired to Learn 21 summer tour, I'll tell you the story of Homer Hickam. We will all make paper rockets just like this, and we will fire them using a high pressure compressed air system 200 feet in the air, and we'll have an absolutely fantastic time absolutely doing that. And I'll also fire a dynamite rocket. A day your children will never forget, a day that you'll never forget, a day that hopefully you and your children will make a promise to work together for your futures, for all our futures, and to help them live the best possible life with their art. I'm going to finish now very quickly by showing you a film of that Coventry Cathedral at Joseph Cash Primary School. And at the end of today, hopefully tomorrow, we'll have built a cardboard Coventry Cathedral on top of that mountain, on top of that hill, overlooking White Rose Primary School, there in the Romney Valley in South Wales. Thank you very, very much for listening to this.
T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour.
Coventry Cathedral rising from the ashes to inspire our children to aim not just high, not high as the sky, but higher than space, higher than the moon, further and as far maybe as Mars one day, as Elon Musk, as Jeff Bezos, as Elton John, as Helen Sharman, as those Hidden Figures characters have inspired us to do, Homer Hickam, all these amazing people. Thank you so much for your interest and for joining us today. I'm just a dad. I do what I can, and I'd be absolutely nothing without you and brave school leaders like the people, the teachers, the leaders running White Rose Primary School today. Thank you so much for letting me join you on this session.